Hello, it's me, and continuing with our viewer question week, we're going to look at two puzzles in one. I had two questions that were kind of similar in content. One had to do with how to solve this three-layer, the 3x3 rhombic dodecahedron, and the other this three-layer barrel cube. And I thought it would be interesting to just kind of go over both of them at the same time, because as a 3x3 mod, these are all modifications of cubes. This one is extended to look like an 8-sided barrel. This one, a 12-sided dodecahedron. They all display slightly different characteristics of a supercube. In this case, because this is your side over here, you've got a center with 4 colors. So that's going to have a supercube aspect to the center, but the edges not so much, because these are just one color. So there's no such thing as upside down or right side up. As opposed to this guy, the center is normal, but much of the supercube aspect of it comes from the shape changing. So this guy's a shape shifting mod, which basically makes it as a supercube. This one is a non-shape shifting mod, which acts as a supercube basically because of the centers and the multicolored centers. So see if we can't navigate our way through these things, because you're going to come about different types of parities with them, with each one. So abracadabra. Okay, and here we go. So we'll start off with the 3-layer rhombic dodecahedron. Now, I actually had a tutorial on this, but I wanted to clarify some things. At the time that I did the first tutorial, this was at a time where I had some time restrictions on length of videos, but now that I can kind of slow things down and take my time and reason things out a little bit more, I think I can maybe make it a little more clear up some points. Even though this is a 12-sided puzzle, there's only 6 colors to it, which lends a certain degree of more of a challenge, actually. I'm actually kind of glad that they designed it that way. And what's also interesting is that you're going to notice that certain corners have the same color scheme: white, red, green, white, red, green. But these are not equivalent pieces, and you're going to find that as we start to do the solve. So when starting to solve any 3x3 mod, we start off with getting the cross. So we have to identify it and try to correlate it as much as you can with a regular 3x3. So here's the side over here. And to identify it, we have a solid colored center and edges that contain 2 colors, basically, as it joins one center with another center. So 2 colors and corners that join 3 sides. Well, this is organized a little different, because this would be a side here. You have a center that's 4 colors. You have edges that only are 1 color, and that's because each of these edges, when they articulate between 2 centers, are basically just going to be articulating between centers, the 1 color component of each center. So this orange is going to be articulating between these, while the corners are once again 3 colors. So what does that mean? Well, let's kind of work our way through it and see what that might or might not mean for us. So starting off, we'll start off with this side over here, and we'll get our cross. Now we can first try to coordinate our centers together. I'm going to take the colors here and coordinate them with these middle colored layers. So here's green, move this here and here, so these greens correlate with each other, these whites correlate, yellows. So I'll put this here for the oranges, here's the red, and the whites and the blues. So it would seem that all these are lined up. I can do the same thing with the bottom here. So there appears to be some degree of consistency with this, if you notice that all these colors are matching up with each other. So it's really just a matter of putting in our centers here, or our edges, to get our cross. In this case, the cross is the placement of all the edges on the first layer. And this is done pretty much intuitively the same way that we do with this guy here. So find the red one. We don't have to worry about orientation, because there's just 1 color to the edges. Move it in, move it up. Good. This is already here. Find a yellow one. There's one here. Now there's going to be 2 to choose from. There's this one, and there's this one. Notice that they're a little different. Both in the middle layer here, so move this down here. Turn this here, turn. So again, this is just placement of the cross. Shouldn't be too difficult. I don't think this was the viewer's question. And move this here. Now I'm going to walk into a pitfall here, and I'm doing this on purpose to show you what you could potentially end up with this particular puzzle. But you can see we have what appears to be a nice solid cross. So it seems to be consistent with this side. So now I put in the corners. So I'm looking for yellow, green, and white. So yellow, green, and white. Yellow, green, and white. Where's my yellow, green, and white? Well, here's green, here's yellow, here's orange, but no white. Maybe it's stuck up here somewhere. What you're going to find in certain situations is there is no yellow, green, and white. Doesn't exist. So what happened? Here's whites and a green, but it's a red and not a yellow. Well, the reason why that happened is we got fooled. This seems to be all in, all these centers seem to be coordinated, but because there's two colors, there's two sides with the same color, it didn't have to be coordinated like this. Because instead of a yellow, green, and white, it's green, yellow, and it's got to be something else. Well, we can look here and see what it is, and it's here. It's green, yellow, and orange. That's the one that's supposed to be there. Well, how are we going to make that make sense? Somehow, this has to be the one. So what that means is that this green correlating with this side, with this center, is not correct. So find another green center, which is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-coordinate it, turn this around. Well, let's do it like this. I want this green not to correlate with the green of this center, but with this center. So I'm going to double turn that over here, which puts this green up, and turn this like so. So now this is going to sort of be anchored down to our new cross, basically. Is it going to make sense? Well, only if I have a yellow and a yellow here, which I do. So what I'm going to do is just move this in here. I might as well put this in while I'm doing it, so I'll move this to the side, double turn. So basically I'm just re-establishing the cross, but with a slightly different center. Not coordinated with this center, but this center. All right, blue, there's a blue here, so we'll move, double turn this up here, but before we do that, let's put this in conjunction with a blue edge over here. So turn this in. Now most of you have probably figured that out, but just in case you didn't, for the sake of completeness, I'm going to put that there. Okay, moving on here, red, it's got to correlate with this, so double turn it, but I might as well put this one in, turn this to the side, double turn it, bring this edge in, and turn it up. So what I've done is I've re-established the cross, but hopefully in a way that makes more sense. And this is all re-established here. So now I'm looking for the green, yellow, and orange. And lo and behold, there it is. So that's how that works, if you should ever run into that problem. This is just turned the wrong way, so I'm going to do that combination of RI-DI moves in order to, RI-DI, RDs in order to reorient this right. RI-DI, RD. Now wait a minute, what about this one? Maybe this is the correct one, or is it this one? Well, we'll just work it out and see, but that's another possible pitfall that can happen with this, which lends it a little bit more of a challenge. Turn, turn, so as you can see, this is the wrong corner because the green line's up, but the yellow should be here and the orange should be here. So I need the other one, which is this. So now I know for sure that this is the one that it's supposed to be. So even just getting the first side, there's two potential pitfalls I can run into. So now you can see, and this just happens to be in over here, you can see that this is correct. One pitfall is that you lined up this green with the wrong green center. This is correct, but if I accidentally did this one, you'd see that you don't have a corner. The other possibility is you find the corner, but it's the wrong corner. It's the other one that has the same color scheme, but they're not equivalent pieces. But now that we know that we have this in, we can put this in with complete impunity. Red, green, white, right over here. Is it the right one? Well, we'll find out. We can probably stare at it and find out, but I'm a guy of action. Let's just do it and see what shakes out. Put this in, and as you can see, this is the correct one. Red, blue, and orange. Perhaps this one. See if it makes sense. And nope, wrong one. The right one is over here, so we're going to want to bat this one out. See if at the same time we can put the correct corner in. Yellow, blue, and white. Here's one over here. Is it the correct one? And bang, it's not, but we're going to leave that go for now because I wanted to put the red, the blue, red, and yellow, the correct one, orange rather. And it's going to be this one. Turn, 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 turn. So we're still on the first layer. Still haven't cracked that egg yet. But you can see this is correct. ignore this for now. That's in the second layer. This is the wrong corner that looks like it. Again, I don't think this fooled too many of you, but just for the sake of completeness, just to be wary of it. So we have an actual first side, and now the puzzle has been appropriately calibrated. So now we just turn it over to the middle layer. This is already in, this is already in. We have to put the white one in. So we find this here. This will move down to here by the algorithm that takes the edge from the top layer to the middle layer here. So in the case of putting it to the right side, that's going to be U, R, U, I, R, I, U, F, I, U, I, F. And that's fine here. Orange, same thing here. Again, nothing too groundbreaking here. No problems. No false equivocations, or is it? Anyway, so here's the next layer. So now we just have to do the top layer over here. Okay, so the way that you do the supercube here is you could coordinate this with the centers that it's supposed to be lined up with. But suffice it to say, according to the laws of the cube, if the parity is fine with this, and because it's a 3-layer, it should just fall into place. And what you're going to have is you're either going to have one that's in with 3 out, or all of them in. But you're not going to get just 2 in, or you're not just going to get 3 in and 1 out. Now, the last, with a Rubik's Cube, with a normal 3x3, the next step is to rotate these. Like with the last layer, you have to rotate these in the right position. You don't have to worry about that with this particular puzzle because it's the same. There's no such thing as upside down or right side up, so you're good. But what we need to do is we need to get 1 in, because if 1 is in and 3 are out, then that's a total of an even number of swaps, 1, 2. If you just have 2 in, well, that's not going to work because that's an odd number of swaps, just 1. So we know that that can't happen. So far, none of them are in, so I'm just going to do the algorithm that holds 1 in place and rotates these around, and I'm going to do that until 1 is in. So we have what that algorithm is, as you recall with the 3x3, if this is F, this is R over here, R, U, R, I, U, R, 2U, Ri. Okay, so we have 1 here, and we have, we have 2. 2 are in. Well, I just got done saying that that's impossible because these 2 need to flip. Could this be a parity? Well, 3x3s aren't supposed to have parities because they're supposed to be able to be scrambled in a position that's not impossible to solve. And this gives you a situation where you only have an odd number of swaps. Just swapping these 2, that's 1 swap. So, what happened? Well, to those who've been following kind of what I've been talking about and following tutorials about how this might have happened, pause for a second and see if you can guess. And I'll point out that you've got a whole bunch of sides here that all look the same and have rotational symmetry. So did you figure it out? Well, one possibility is maybe we falsely equivocated one of these to be rotated the wrong way, which means all I have to do is rotate this and everything will be fine. But that doesn't exactly make sense either, because when you think about it, 1/2 of a rotation is considered 1, quote, swap. 2 rotations is considered 2. So if I turn this around, that would be the equivalent of doing 1 swap here and 2 swaps here, so that's 3. So that's not going to get you out of it. So how can we do it? Well, if we can't do it just by rotating one piece, as you've seen us do in other cubes, what if we were to take an equivalency of 2 different pieces that have the same color and the same shape? Well, I've got 2 oranges, I've got 2 whites, that's pretty much it. I've got 2 whites and 2 oranges. So what if, in order to make this swap happen, I just swapped these 2? So the reason why you can reason that out based on knowledge of the laws of cubes, so to speak, is that to swap this, I gotta swap something else. So find something else that can evenly swap. You don't have to invent an algorithm to do both at the same time. As long as you do one, something else is going to be swapped. So I know if I swap, say, this white and this white, this has to be skewed around to where another set of pieces, 2 pieces, just swapped. And that's going to get me back. Whether it's these 2 that swap or these 2, doesn't matter. So the way to get out of this situation, before proceeding when you see 2 in, is let's just take this, move it up here, put it down here. This then comes back up here and is replaced over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, just basically put this down to here, and that puts this white one up here. So the same algorithm, putting this, I'm just doing a top to left side swap. You could do top to right side, really doesn't matter. We'll do top to right side just because that's what we've been doing. So turn, 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 and turn. So, as promised, the green one went here, and here's the white one. I'm now going to take this white one and put it over to here. So, same thing. Turn, 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 turn. So now I have the other white one over here. I'm going to find the white one that had just bumped out up here, and now place this down here where the previous white one was. Turn, 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 and turn. So understand what we just did. The overall effect is we swapped these two, which means in the process, one pair of these got swapped as well. So now we take a look. This is in, these are out, so the parity has been fixed. The overall effect is we caused the swap up here, and it doesn't even matter which one. Now that we have one in here, we can do an even number of swaps, say this to here and this to here. That's one swap, so the green will be here, blue will be here, red is here, then these two will swap, and then it's fine. So the laws of the cube are not broken. So what I'll do is hold this in front where I have the one edge that's supposed to be here, and this will be held in place, and go R, U, R, I, whoops, U, R, to U, R, I, and look at that. You did it. So that is solved. Next is the corners, and it's done the same way with a 3x3. Find a corner that's in the proper place. It's right over here. This goes to the right side, and we're going to do an algorithm that flips all these corners around until they're where they need to be. Now if you don't have any in, just pick a random side and just go ahead and do it. Remember, in terms of perspective, this is front, this is right, this is up, and the algorithm is U, R, U, I, R, L, I, U, R, I, U, I, L, and everything is in. Now if things didn't come in exactly, in other words, if they were where they need to be but rotated, then you just do the algorithm to the RIDI algorithm in order to put that back. I hate to skip that step just for the sake of completeness, but it's really the final step of the Rubik's Cube. What the heck, I'll show you anyway. Anyway, this is a situation that you might end up with where these are all where they need to be, but they're just rotated. So just hold one to the right that needs to be rotated in, and you just kind of do your RIDI sets. So rotate this in by doing RIDI, R, D, RIDI, R, D, and you keep doing that until this finds its way in. So you can see this is fine here. Now turn this again to a U and do the same thing with this side. And you keep doing that whether you have 3 out or all of them out. Doesn't matter. The cube will know what to do almost robotically, and it's solved. Bang. So I hope that cleared up any particular situations or dilemmas. If there's anything more, I hope that answered the viewer's question, but I think the question had to do with the last layer. So I wanted to get into the concept of why that happened, how to fix it, and how to use these equivalent edges in order to make the swaps be even. Barrel cube. Okay, so we're going to do this as your standard 3x3 solve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a white or the yellow. I'll do the yellow. It's often easier to do the top part of the barrel as your side rather than the middle, but you can do that too. Anyway, get across. Basically, these are one solid colored centers, so we'll see what kind of issues and equivocations might result from this. But here's this. I'm just putting in my cross. Now, here, because I don't have different colors, I can orient these centers any way that I want. So this will come here. Bang. Now you might think at first, well, this is just your standard 3x3 mod. How is this any different? But I'm oftentimes fascinated how each one seems to have its own personality. So we'll go over here. Here's this one, yellow and green. Bring this down. Okay, so we have a cross done exactly the same as a Rubik's Cube. As a 3x3, put in the corners. Now, what's different about this is these corners have 2 colors and not 3 colors. So let's see how that rocks the boat a little bit. Okay, here's one, here's a pink one. Now, how do I know where this goes? Well, it doesn't really matter. I already have a pink edge here. It could really go anywhere. So, because these can be put in as a second layer, these are all edges. These are corners and these are edges. These edges look like corners. So I could arbitrarily say, look, this is green. I'm going to put a green one in here because these edges do not correlate with the colors over here, so it could be anything. That's unlike this. In the middle layer, the edges, this has to be green and red, right? Because of here. Same thing with this. This edge here has to be white because of this. Well, in this situation, this could be any color. So I'm going to keep this green. And I'm just going to randomly put in yellow corners. So I just put this in here. It doesn't really matter what's here or not. And I'll just keep putting yellow corners in. I have complete freedom, complete free will. Whether you believe it to be an illusion or not, I can do what I want. Our idea moves to put it in. So here's the first layer. So now I'm going to turn this upside down and then start putting in these edges correlating with these colors over here with these corners. So these corners are going to define what these edges are going to be. So I have this green. I've defined this to be the green, so I'm going to put this down to here. And just like with this puzzle over here, these edges are one color, just like this on these sides. So to move from here to the left, actually we've been doing it on the right side, so we'll just do it that way too. Bang, zoom, zoom, pow, pow, smash, plop. We're good. This is already in. How about pink? I got a nice pink one here, so I'll put this in here too. U-R, U-I-R-I, U-R, F-I, U-I-F, something like that. Anyway, so that's in, that's good. I need the black one right over here. U-R, U-I-R-I, U-F-I, U-F. Hopefully I did a better job of that. Anyway, so these are all in over here. So now we put the last layer. So the first step in the last layer is to flip these in the right position. And we're looking for a dot, an L, and a line. Well, we don't have any of those, so we'll just randomly pick a side and we'll do the algorithm that flips these. So that's going to be, this is our F side, this is our R. So F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I. Let's see what we got. Well, we got a little bit of a problem here. Because if you recall, according to the laws of the cube, you can't have 3 up and 1 down. You can have 2 up, you can have all of them flipped down, you can have 2 up and 2 down, or you can have all of them flipped up, but not 3 up and 3 down. That would be the equivalent of taking this and plucking this out and putting it in. And the problem with that is, again, that goes against the laws of the cube, because then you have to flip this, and that's the equivalent to 1 swap. Which you can't have. So why did this happen? We've seen this kind of parity situation on a even layer puzzle, like a 4x4, but you're not supposed to get that with an odd layer puzzle. So what's interesting is that this last layer, quote, parity, is different from this one. This one, it had to do with the positioning of the edges relative to the colors of the center. But we couldn't escape. We thought we could escape it with this one because this is one color, but we have now this kind of parity, which has to do with the 2 colors of the edges. Here we didn't get this because it was just 1 color. So we avoided that kind of parity with this, but had a separate kind of parity of colors. Here, we didn't have the parity of positioning, but we do have a parity of flipping. Now, my contention is it's not really parity. The way that I've been defining it, when I looked at this, it had to do with placement. Find the area of equivalency and swap those so that you can make the proper swapping. So too, this isn't really a parity because this is perfectly legal within the parity of this puzzle. We just equivocated one piece and it caused this apparent paradox. So let's take a look and see what we can do. Well, the first thing to do when you see a situation like this is say that this is an apparent parity problem with an edge. Therefore, the problem is with placement of maybe one of these middle edges. And because these are symmetric, this can be rotated 180 degrees, and that's what caused this to happen. This is falsely rotated, or we kind of say that it's falsely rotated. And that's what caused it to be in this position. This actually belongs rotated 180 degrees. The reason why this works is because this is a rotational swap. So instead of swapping pieces, you have to rotate 2 instead of 1. So this rotates 1 and this rotates 2. A swap here is not like a rotation. So that's why that happens. So what you do in this situation when you get this is take any of your edges and you have to turn it 180 degrees. It doesn't matter which one. Once you've done that, this will make its proper rotation. Or another way to look at it is this was falsely equivocated to be in this position. Now you never get that in this puzzle, and the reason is because you know how it's supposed to be rotated. This yellow and green is always going to be yellow and green. If you put this in wrong, you're going to have a similar situation. Just to demonstrate that, let's say I decided purposely to put this edge in here wrong. Turn, turn, turn. So you can see this is upside down. The effect is exactly the same. So you can see that the effect is exactly the same. The difference is here, you could see it's wrong. Here, you can pick anyone actually, you can't see that it's wrong. So because of that, you treat it the same way. And the way to get out of this is just flip this the way it's supposed to be. Turn, 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 turn. And you would never walk into this because you'd understand the proper placement, which is why I don't consider it a parity so much. I consider it a placement issue. This is fine. You get the standard line, F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, and we're good. So with here, same thing. Pick a random one, bring this up, and turn it around. And the way that I bring it up is we'll continue doing things on the right side. Doesn't matter, but we'll bring this down here and this up here. So turn, 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 turn. Okay, here it is here. Swing it around, and then put it in the same direction that you took it out. So if you went from top to right, bring it back in from top to right. Otherwise, you don't want to just flip it back in exactly the same position that it was before. And you'll find exactly the same thing happens. You have your cross. It could have been a line, it could have been a dot, but it doesn't matter, you have your cross. So the next step is to line these up. This just happens to be lined up. If it wasn't, you do the algorithm that turns them, R, U, R, I, U, R, 2, U, R, I, and keep going until you get something that makes sense. R, U, R, I, U, R, 2, U, R, I, good, 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 and good. And now it's a matter of putting in the corners. So which corner is correct? And it turns out none of them. So we'll do our corner rotating algorithm, U, R, U, I, L, I, U, R, I, U, I, L. See what's fine. This is good here. And the way it's always going to turn out is one is in, the rest are out. If you have two in, well, same thing. You can't swap just one set. So this is fine over here. Now you're not going to run into equivalency issues with this because all the edges have now been put in and all the corners are fine as well. So R, U, R, I, U, I, R, U, I, and here. So this is in, but the rest aren't, even though it looks like a barrel. So if you're in a situation like this, just understand these still need to rotate around. Turn, 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 turn. Unlike the cuboids, I don't worry about the shape-shifted state until the very end. It's just a rotational issue. It's rotational shape-shifting and not whole edge shape-shifting. But you can see pink is where it needs to be, green and black. So now it's a matter of holding it here, doing RIDIs until these are all rotated in. It's exactly the same as this. Basically RIDI, RD. We already showed it on the previous one, but just because I love doing 3x3 solves, I'll take any opportunity to do that because it's almost magical. But anyway, same thing here. RIDI, RD, RIDI, RD. Then move it in here. RIDI, RD, RIDI, RD. Move it in here. This is the last one. Now again, this is the beginner's method, but I've never had to use anything other than that for the purposes of solving it. This moves in here, 1, 2, and you have your 3x3 octagonal barrel cube solved. So these were two separate viewer questions, but I thought that it would be a good time to do a tandem solve of these to demonstrate different aspects of apparent false equivocation, which looks like apparent parities, how different supercube aspects of it, whether it's multicolored centers with solid color edges or different colored edges and solid centers, how that can enter into that. So hopefully that cleared it up. Next, we'll move on to the next question as we're starting to slowly wrap up our viewer question week. Thanks for watching.